Today we are going to create a cute little boho bouquet. So the first thing you're going to need is either a Howley Chapel floral egg, which is a little plastic egg with slats in it for you to put your greenery, or you can use it or use a nice high gauge chicken wire, so which is what I'm going to start with today. If you're using the chicken wire, if you're using the egg, you can actually skip ahead. But for chicken wire people, you're going to kind of come in, and I like to just crisscross it in here, and I'll bend some pieces over just so that it holds. Being real careful. This is a high gauge, so it's not super pokey, but stick it in here. Still got to be careful. You could wear gloves while you're doing this. I've just done it enough times, it doesn't bother me. And then I want to make this is going to be a pretty small bouquet, so I don't want to make this too big. So I'm going to come in and I'm making just sort of an egg shape with my chicken wire, so I can have my pieces of greenery go through this, and then everything will kind of hold and it'll provide support for pieces that jut out. So I've got my little egg made to start off. Nice hole spot for the bottom. So my egg is ready to go. So put that aside for just a second, and we're going to prep some of our greenery. So a couple different kinds of greenery. It doesn't really matter what kind you're using. The principles are all the same. So with greenery like this, where I can push the stems up, or not the stems, the sprigs up, I'm going to do that to start to get a nice long stem. And then you can kind of play around with these as you go. But you definitely want to have a nice stem to be able to put through your egg or to hold on to. So I always do some level of pushing up, whether I push them all the way up, if it's going to be a piece in the center, or whether I'm going to just push it a little bit up. And then I'm going to cut these apart. You can use your wire cutters. I'm using aviation snips just because they are good for cutting more than one at a time. So you can see stems are kind of short. If I had left these down, and there wouldn't be much to grab onto. So for me, pushing these up is going to give me a chance to really have a stem that I can grab onto. So I like to prep as much as I can right at the start, so when I'm making my bouquet, it's as simple as just grabbing the pieces and going. So I'm trying to be systematic in that way, and I make nice piles of everything so that I'm really ready to go. All right, so I'm gonna pile this eucalyptus right here. Do the same thing with this eucalyptus. My pampas grass is flying everywhere. So cut it apart first. So prepping the greenery, if you're doing a lot of bouquets, it's great to just prep all of your greenery and divide everything up into piles so you know what goes with what bouquet, and just kind of get a groove going, almost like a assembly line. If you've got someone helping you, it's a great task for somebody else to do. I love to have my daughter prep my materials when she wants some money. And you can see this is going pretty quick. If it's ever feeling like it's a stubborn piece, you can just kind of give it a good wiggle. Now, sometimes you can also take an extra piece of this off. You might want to add it to a flower in the center of your bouquet. So I'm going to take just a couple of these off to add to another piece. I'm trying to find the ones that have three, just so I don't, there we go. So I'll save these aside for later. You can do the same thing with this greenery as well. Okay, then I've got some fillers that I'm going to use. And you can use a mixture of faux, dried, preserved, whatever you like, really. And sometimes I don't like the leaves that are on it, and I'll pull pieces off too, but I kind of like the grassy sprigs for this boho vibe I'm going for, so I'll probably leave them on. I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to use all of these because I'm making a pretty little bouquet, so I'm probably just going to cut up a couple of these. I'm sort of looking, let's see. I don't know, we'll just cut them all if I can't decide. Still use them later. And then I've got a couple other fun things. So I've got my pampas grass. Once your pampas grass comes out, it might need to air out. So it's really good to put your pampas grass in the sun, up in a vase, to help get it to fluff out if it's looking not super fluffy. It's a good idea to, if you're worried about losing too much pampas, you can spray it with hairspray so that it will hold. Now, something to note is that all the faux greenery, it bends. It's gonna go in whatever direction you want it to go in. It's super forgiving. This is not, right? These stems are dried out. You cannot bend these. So 2 things to note. 1, you have to kind of work with the direction it goes in. Second, worst case scenario, really need to go in a certain direction, and you're gonna hide the mechanics inside. You could wire this. So chop it down, put it on a wire stem just like you would your flowers, and floral tape, make sure you have a little bit of glue. As long as no one's gonna see those mechanics, then you could get it to sort of go in any direction that you want it to go in. And then I've also got a palm spear. Again, same thing, this is not gonna bend. You have to really plan where this is gonna go. You could also try to wire something like this very carefully as well. I tend to just work with it at the angles. And that's what's great about the egg, is that I can kind of still get an angle with it. I'm just gonna have to work with it. Again, I can't bend this bottom part, so you have to just do it within a certain realm. I'm planning to kind of just have mine up here. I'm gonna add that at the very end anyway. The next thing you're going to need are your flowers. So today I'm working with just some variety of yellow. I've got a random blue one in there. I'm not sure I'm gonna use that one blue or that one pink, but we're gonna do probably something with the yellow and the ivory flowers, and I'm just gonna make a mini version. If you're making a big version, you're just going to be adding a lot more greenery, possibly a larger chicken egg here, and then, you know, that's about it. So just imagine it on a bigger scale. All right, so for me, always want to remember that, like with the holly chapel egg, the holes are a little bit bigger, so that you are kind of like aiming to have your stems come out these bottom. If they come out the side, you can't bend them in necessarily. So you're going to be aiming towards those bottom few holes for your stems to come out. So I'm going to start off by creating my length first. What makes a boho bouquet awesome and fabulous is the length. It really has that sideways horizontal feel. It's not perfectly symmetrical. So by creating that length, that's gonna be like my guide. Like, okay, I know I want it to be, you know, this wide. I'm doing a small one, so I'm not gonna go crazy long. You can go as long as you'd like. Later at the end, you're gonna definitely try to cover this up, so keep that in mind. And then I'm gonna create some height as well. So like, how high do I want this to be? Get some of my pieces in here. Yeah. And then of course it's also going to be coming forward as well. So I'm just placing this in. It looks kind of funny right now, right? But you're starting to see the bones of this bouquet. So it's hard to see. I can see in a video what I'm doing. It's a good idea to sometimes work in a mirror. I'm going to save these other 2 for more like the back or the side. So we've got this little one going on here. Okay, so this is the bones. We're gonna start adding in the second layer of greenery here. So same thing, I'm kind of coming in at different levels. So if I put this here, I don't want to put them all in the same hole. I want to kind of work my way down and up. So I'm filling in, and I'm just bending those wire stems. And you can always bend them a little bit before if it's easier, if you kind of know where it's going. So I know this one, well, wide, so I'm gonna bend this one a little bit first, sneak it right in my cage, just so you can see the mechanics in the back. Gonna be covering that too though. And then I can still bend more once I'm in here, which is what's awesome. And I wanna see all the greenery, I wanna create that liveliness. It's okay to have some space for sure, because you are going to be adding flowers. This style is all about being kind of loose and fun. So it's not necessary for you to like fill every single gap. A little space is not a bad thing here. And I'm just kind of moving my pieces where I want them to go. Definitely going to create some, a little fill here in the center. Need something there. Yeah. We need some back pieces. So come on in here. Another piece back here. And so you can see I'm starting to fill in even more on this back side. So this little mini boho is already looking lively and fun. I can still see, if you can tell, I don't know in the video, some mechanics. It's not too bad in the front. So definitely, I'm going to save a couple pieces of greenery for like the end because I want to be able to cover some things. So now I'm going to come in with some flowers and then some fillers as well. My stems are going to be pretty long. I have already wired these stems, but a dab of glue at the bottom. Make sure that you hold the wire just like a 1/2 inch from the end so that you have control when you are stemming your flower. So I'm gonna come in now, and I kind of have spots that are just begging for flowers. So that's where I'm gonna go. In those spots right there. Turn it towards me for a second here. So I like to aim my flowers as well too. So I don't necessarily just keep my flower stem the way it is. I like to do some bending and moving there as well. I like to work with one color of flower to start, and I'll go in thinking about my levels. I like to have some that are higher, some that are lower. Find the right hole to get it just where I want. And I'm just feeding it right through my hand at the bottom. Same thing, aim that one out a little. So this one's a little higher. Definitely want to come in with something down here, down low a little bit. This is going to be a good one for me to add a leaf onto since I'm going to go a little bit lower. So I'm just going to slide the stem, or my very long stem, help if I could show you, right through this. Now you could add a little bit of hot glue to that too if you wanted to hold. I think the wire cage here is actually going to hold it, so I'm not going to worry too much. Yeah, then that fills that nice front spot there with a little leaf and a little flower. We like that. All right, now I'm just continually going to be like fluffing and moving things around here. So let's come in with one of these brighter ones here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stem. Okay, this is going to go more, let's see, I'm going to go over here on the side. Placing it in. This is a fun 2-person job also. So if you've got an assistant, they can always hold the bouquet while you place things. If you're so lucky to snag somebody's help. There we go. Just moving that leaf around a little. I'm gonna come in with another one of these. Kind of go up and back here. I'm sneaking it between some leaves. I'm not gonna add a leaf to this one. Higher. I'm just bending that flower forward a little. So a boho bouquet is very much going to have more of a flatter back so that you can hold it and not feel like, oh, it's getting you. It goes great against a wall later. It can be laid down on a table and make a cute little swag. So for now, still got my looseness back here. I'm going to add my greenery in there later, but just like to have everything covering. So I do that very, very much the last piece. I'm going to add another brighter flower somewhere on this side over here. I'm starting to lose my shape, so I want to pull this piece of greenery down a little bit. So this is where you're just going to keep constantly sort of adjusting that you've got like exactly what you want. All right, so now I'm going to come in over here. Going to add this leaf because I got it. I think this is the last flower I'm going to add. I think I'm just going to keep this all yellow and bring in the ivory and my fun fillers. So I'm going to come in right here on the side. Kind of angle my, yeah, there we go. So, got my little boho. I've got quite a piece here in the front, but I just want to angle down. I do sort of feel like I now need something right here in the center. So we're going to come in with one more light yellow. Kind of go right through in the center. Now, I've still got fillers and things too, so I'm not going to stress if I feel like I have a couple gaps. I can always add another flower later after I add some more fillers in. Oh yeah, that did it. Now I feel a little more complete there. So you can still adjust and play with the heights of things. I'm holding it down low, but the great thing with this is that I could put this down. So if you're doing a knot in a cage, it'd be a lot harder to put that down without tying it off. All right, so let's add in our palm spear here. So this I want to kind of stick up. I don't want to be perfectly symmetrical. I gotta find like the right spot, and I may need to like adjust some other greenery to create a spot for it almost. Maybe I'll go symmetrical, I don't know. I kind of like being a little bit off center, so I'm gonna kind of see if I can slide it in here. It's trial and error. You might have to move another piece of greenery, which is I think I might have to do. Pull this one out temporarily. Yeah, it's gonna come in right here. You might stick as a natural bend a little bit that way. Stick it up there. Now I'm gonna fill back in with this greenery now that I've put this guy in. Some of it will go behind the palm spear on the side. There we go. So we're gonna come in next. I think I wanna do some of these guys here. So definitely gonna fill, let's see, kind of one right here in the center, because I can tell I just need something right here. Whew. These leaves are getting to be a little bit much unless I push them up. Again, you could also take them out, which I might, I don't know, which I like them. I like that they add that wild feel in here. But you could pull these right off and just use the filler too. Just depends on like what you're going for. Definitely want to come in with one of these on the side. The more you start to fit in here, the harder it can kind of get. So be creative with your maneuvering. There we go on the side. Then I definitely think I need one. I'm gonna do one down lower here. This one, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to use all these wild stems, but we'll see what happens. They can move too, so if you don't like the position they're in, move them around. Yeah, we're gonna go low. Oh, now I'm really jabbing it in there. It's a good chance to get some of your aggression out if you're feeling like you got some stress going on. So now I just gotta kind of move this where I really want it to. There we go. A little wider, yeah. I think that's enough of those. So now I want to come in with some pumice. Yeah. Woo! Flaking everywhere. All right. Where I'm definitely going nice and long on some of this here. Sneaking it in. I like the idea of coming in towards the back here. Yeah. So this is going to create some nice volume. Oops. Again, totally non-bendy stems. So you got to go with wherever it's going to fit. There's not a lot of options really. A little lower, I think, on this one. Yeah. So if you feel like your cage is starting to get pretty tight, you can, oh, I broke that one. Oh, actually, I didn't break the whole thing, just a piece of it. Whew, goodness. All right, piece of that broke off. It's still staying where it is. I'm nestling it in the greenery if it falls out later, because I did break it too much. We'll fix that. I think I need another one to come, let's see, a little more down here. Again, this is gonna get sneaky. So I can tell that, like, yeah, let's see, maybe up high. Actually, I like it more up high, which is good because it'll be easier to do. So I definitely say if you are gonna definitely work with this in some precarious positions, you might just wire it to begin with. There we go. Yeah. Nestle it. The greenery just a little bit there. A little more up, I think. That's it. All right. So now is the time to come in, and I gotta fill. So for me, I'm gonna take, I think, one of these pieces and actually do right at the bottom, just because it'll cover nice down here at the very, very bottom. We don't really see a ton of it, and that's okay. Then I want to get this back good. I need to definitely do a piece in the front also. So I'm going to try to push this up as high as it will go. And I'm going to spread this greenery out on either side here, just to cover any mechanics there. So now I've just got to worry about covering the back. So I'm going to stick a piece here. I'm going to push this greenery up as far as it'll go, and then come in right there. Same thing with this one. And I think we've pretty well covered, actually, most of the mechanics. So you can see we've hit in almost everything. No one actually sees the back side but you anyway. We're good there. So all we have to do now is tie this off. I'm back here somewhere. So I like floral tape, or you can use, I also like electrical tape is a good one if you're not confident in your floral taping skills. So hold this on with your finger. You activate by stretching, and you're going to twist it around itself. Don't start spiraling down right away. And if you break it, just go right back at it. So you've got a lot to kind of hold in here. Spiral, spiral, spiral down. Woo! I'm sure Pompous is flying everywhere here. Spiral it back up and down. You don't need to cover the whole thing. All right. So now we just need to decide where I want to cut these handles. So we are going to go in. Now you can go one at a time with a cutter. Oops. You know what, this tape isn't holding great, so we're gonna add just a little glue just to give it that hold. There we go. All right, so I like, you know, 2 hands. Sometimes you just like, with a boho, you like a real short stem too. Sometimes I just look at where the majority of my stems are lying and I just kind of cut them there also. I'm gonna come in. I like aviation snips because I can cut more than one at a time, but you can go in with your singles too. If you like these extra stems, it can be fun to just sort of add a few of these, especially if you're gonna have your stems showing. You could add a few of these back in and actually wrap around if you wanted, which is not a bad idea. I like that. I'm gonna kind of stick this piece up here. Okay. Yeah, it's fun because it gives it a little more coverage too. So I'm gonna add that back in, wrap it around one more time. I'll just trim those, but those are easy to cut. My florals tape is not sticking today, I think because of the humidity. There we go. Trim those off. Woo. Boom. So now we just need to finish it off with ribbon or twine. So ribbon and twine is sort of the same thing. I'm going to start with a dab of hot glue right on the back side. And I'm going to put my twine or my ribbon. Hold it for just a second, and then you're going to spiral. And I like to do double coverage. So you're going to go down, and then you're going to go back up. So pardon me while this spins in circles and things fly everywhere. Crafting is messy and you will definitely need to vacuum afterwards. I am not going to go all the way down. I like the look of the exposed stems, especially because I have some dried and preserved stuff in here, so it's not just the wires. If this was all wires, I would cover all the way. So I'm going to come back up so I get a nice fill. If there's any gaps, I can fill them in now. Just creates a little bit more of a substantial piece. I'm actually going to go a little higher than I started because I just want to do that too. All the way around. Boom. In the end, I'm going to cut it off with my scissors, or I'm using my wire cutter since I don't have any scissors around. And I'm going to glue this down. My trick is actually I use the hot glue gun to hold it down so I don't burn my fingers. Kind of get a messier hot glue gun, but that's okay. If you need to add any extra, you can. So I've glued it right there in the back. In the front, you can see I've got this gorgeous bouquet, just like this. I can still do some adjusting. So if I don't like where a leaf is, want to move something, which I think I'm doing here. Yeah. If I wanted to still add something else in, honestly, I probably could sneak a couple things in if I really wanted to. But than that, you've got a nice, simple boho bouquet. You can make it small, you can make it big. Either way, it's going to be awesome.